What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Cosmic Wonder. Today, Anthony Mackie, the actor who plays our new Captain America in the MCU, Sam Wilson, has dropped a pretty big bomb about Avengers Doomsday, specifically about the ending. It looks like he's kind of our new spoiler man. And some things that he said line up really well with what the Russo brothers said, the directors for Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, and of course the directors who directed Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War, and Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. They are filming Doomsday and Secret Wars back to back now. They have started with Avengers Doomsday already. We've gotten a ton of leaked set photos, and what Anthony Mackie says in this interview with Collider sheds some light on what to expect for Avengers Doomsday, especially the end. In his interview with Collider, he has confirmed that he has read the script. Now, if you recall, for Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, some of the actors didn't get the entire script. They only got their parts, and they weren't given that much information about the scenes that they were going to be in. Now, this was at a time where people like Tom Holland and Mark Ruffalo were accidentally spoiling things. So the Russo brothers and Marvel were trying to be pretty secretive about everything, and that's what they're trying to do for Avengers Doomsday now. The Russo brothers stated that they picked their filming location very specifically, and they're going to film in ways that don't let spoilers out, even though we've already got some so far. And now we're getting some more from Anthony Mackie. And the first thing that he said in this interview with Collider when asked about his initial reaction to reading the script, this is what he said. "You know what? I was really excited, man. It's one of those stories that really pushes the boundaries, and the cliffhanger at the end, the last moments of the film, it really builds up and sets us up for a way for the continuation of the Marvel saga, which is really exciting." Now, this isn't the end. He goes on to kind of talk about deaths, but let's first break down what he said here. For starters, it sounds like the Russo brothers are basically going to be using the same formula that they used for Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, leaving us on a cliffhanger. Now, you could argue the ending of Infinity War wasn't really a cliffhanger. Thanos won. That was the end of it. But of course, we knew that the Avengers were going to return and fight back and somehow undo the snap. Now, it basically sounds like we're going to be getting pretty much the same thing, except on a much bigger level. In Infinity War, Thanos' snap only erased half of the population of one universe. At the end of Avengers Doomsday, what we are assuming is the cliffhanger is the destruction of the entire multiverse, every universe that exists. The scale is much larger. We also believe that it's going to end with Dr. Doom being the god of the only thing left, and that is Battleworld. We even got that concept art that was leaked showing us God Emperor Doom on a throne, Doctor Strange or Sheriff Strange by his side, and Sue Storm and Franklin Richards on his other side. And criminals, what they deem as criminals, were brought before him. Now, of course, this concept art doesn't ensure that this actual scene will take place in the film, but it does tell us that this is what Marvel is thinking about. And this is what happens in the 2015 Secret Wars. So we are assuming that the end of Avengers Doomsday, with Doom as the main villain, of course, ends with Doom winning. Kind of. From what we know, Doom, much like in the comics, is going to try and prevent the multiverse from being destroyed, but when they determine that it's too late, and no matter what they do, it will be destroyed, Doom decides to basically take things into his own hands and creates Battleworld and rules over it as their god. So that's what we believe the big cliffhanger is going to be. And considering the comics and what we know about the movie so far, that makes a lot of sense. Then in Avengers Secret Wars, they're going to work on restoring the multiverse, or essentially like they did in Endgame, try to undo the snap, undo what happened in Infinity War. Now, he did say something else that was very similar to what the Russo brothers have said. His line about it really builds up and sets up for a way for the continuation of the Marvel saga, which is really exciting, sounds like what the Russo brothers said about Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars being a new beginning for the MCU. They stated that it's not the end. They've told an end story before, Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. Now they're telling a new beginning for the MCU. What we believe they are referring to here, and Anthony Mackie as well, is the inclusion of all of the characters that we've never had in the MCU before, primarily the X-Men. When the multiverse gets destroyed and we are left with Battleworld, we are left with one world that is a collection of many different universes throughout the multiverse combined. In the comics, it's about 40 different universes that make up the world that is Battleworld. So on this world, all of the different characters throughout the entire multiverse are going to coexist together. So we'll finally be in a world where the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, the Defenders, the Inhumans, anybody Marvel wants to use will all finally be in the same universe. And this also kind of retcons a problem that Marvel Studios had, or at least a big question that fans had with Marvel Studios introducing the X-Men into the MCU. When Disney bought Fox and all of a sudden the X-Men were available to be used in the MCU, Marvel took their time. Sure, we got a tease here and there like in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and of course Deadpool and Wolverine, but Marvel never truly introduced a new X-Men team, and fans were wondering, how are you going to explain where the X-Men have been this entire time? Where were they at during the first Avengers film, during Age of Ultron, Infinity War, Endgame, all of the major events that could have destroyed our Earth? Where were the X-Men at that point in time? Well, Battleworld is how they solve this. They move forward with a new universe, a new multiverse after Secret Wars where everyone coexists together. You don't really need to answer the question of where have the X-Men been in our universe, because our universe will essentially be gone. And a new universe, and presumably a new multiverse, will begin. And that is what Anthony Mackie and the Russo brothers are referring to when they talk about a new beginning and the film setting up and building a way for the continuation of the Marvel saga. Now, like I mentioned, Anthony Mackie seemingly talked about deaths in this interview as well. He stated, "You see these characters and you see how they're introduced and how they play in the universe moving forward, and no one is safe. Everyone is expendable." And this really goes back to the giant cliffhanger that is going to be at the end of Avengers Doomsday. The Russo brothers killed half of the heroes, maybe even a little bit more, in Avengers Infinity War. And again, this is going to be a much larger scale. In fact, we already know, because Marvel Studios has already confirmed this, there's just going to be a ton of characters in Doomsday, from the actual Avengers to the Thunderbolts. We have the Wakandans, we have the original X-Men, plus not to mention characters who aren't necessarily a part of a group like Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, She-Hulk, Deadpool, Wolverine, and Gambit if they are not a part of that X-Men universe, which is most likely going to crash into ours. There are just going to be a ton of characters in Doomsday from the start. The ending will most likely result in some of these characters, or maybe a lot of these characters, dying. And we know the Russo brothers aren't afraid to do this, but here's the thing. In Secret Wars in the comics, in the very beginning, where Earth 616 and the Ultimate Universe 1610 are colliding into each other, and there is literally only about a handful of universes left out of the infinite amount of universes in the multiverse, they don't stop the incursion between these two universes. Both Earths end up colliding into each other, and many heroes die, including Iron Man and Captain America, and a lot more. Only a handful are saved from each universe, and they escape via life rafts that the Reed Richardses from both universes made. Our main, Mr. Fantastic, and the Ultimates, the Maker, an evil version of Reed Richards. It is through those life rafts that only a handful of characters from each universe are able to survive, but a lot of people die. And it seems like when we get to that big ending in Avengers Doomsday, that cliffhanger, that's what we're going to see. The multiverse get destroyed. Our universe that we've known and loved through all of this time of the MCU, that'll get destroyed as well. And on it, we might see a lot of heroes die. Now, we've heard that the Avengers and really everybody against Doom, and then also Doom and everybody that's with him, are going to end up at the TVA, which might be safe. But if some heroes don't make it to the TVA with the main group and they're left on Earth, they're gonna die unless somehow Doom manages to save a part of our main universe and put that on Battleworld, but we'll have to wait and see on that. In the meantime, it sounds like the stakes are going to be super high in Avengers Doomsday, and here's the thing, it's not going to be like Avengers Infinity War and Endgame where they can just come back. We're going to get a new universe moving forward with a lot of new characters. If people die in Doomsday, they might not ever come back. We might see variants of them, but as far as the actual characters are concerned, they could be done forever, including the actors who play them. So the stakes are real and they are high. And we're about to see a big change in the MCU, the biggest one that we've ever seen. But it sounds like Marvel has a really great plan of how to do this and how to start a new beginning. So let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Marvel news, rumors, or leaks. Don't forget to check us out on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.